I missed the Clone Wars panel at Star Wars Celebration because I was busy meeting Donald Faison, which I guess also makes me a homewrecker. I think Zach Braff hates me now. So forgive me for not covering the Clone Wars at Celebration, but I have since watched the panel stream, including all of the clips and the trailer, so today I'm going to break all that stuff down. The first clip was from the Bad Batch arc, and if you've watched the story reels on StarWars.com, it should be familiar. It's a shot-for-shot completed version of a scene from the first reel in the 4-episode arc. Based on other shots we've seen in the 2 trailers, I think we can expect this story to play out exactly the way it did before. Basically, we just see the Bad Batch being awesome and taking down a ton of droids. They're a group of clones with purposeful mutations to make them an elite team. Honestly, I don't want to talk about this arc too much. I have before, way back when I figured we'd never see the Clone Wars again, and I don't want to give anything away. I recommend staying away from the story reels if you want to be surprised when the season is released. So let's move on to clip number 2, which shows Ahsoka in an exciting but lighthearted action set piece now that she's left the Jedi Order. She's on a speeder bike that stalls out in one of the pits that leads down to the lower levels of Coruscant, and she has to make an emergency landing. This is from the arc that was called Sokkas Walkabout back at Celebration 2016. I was guessing that the Crystal Crisis arc would be included in this season since, like the Bad Batch, it was released as a full story reel online, but I'm thrilled they went this direction with it. Not only that, but it seems like the arc as it was described 3 years ago has changed. Originally, we were told it would be about Ahsoka learning how to live in the real world. She grew up in the Jedi Temple where all her needs were met. That will probably still be true, but she was meant to meet a scoundrel-type guy named Nix Okami, and they start to get close while they deal with some issues with crime syndicates, and Ahsoka would have hidden her Jedi past from Nix, who doesn't think too highly of the Order as someone who lives down on level 1313. That sounds like it's been changed a bit, but I'll get into that when we cover the trailer. The final clip is from the Siege of Mandalore arc, and it's one that was also detailed in 2016, and I wish that it hadn't been, but it's out there. Anakin tells Ahsoka how proud he is of her and gives her Rex's battalion to rescue Mandalore, and they've all painted their helmets orange, and it's just awesome. I can't wait to see that finished and in the context of the rest of the arc. These episodes alone are going to make Star Wars Rebels Season 2 even more significant because they were referenced pretty heavily even though they never aired. I believe the Siege of Mandalore was meant to be the series finale, and it very well could lead into Revenge of the Sith with Order 66 as the Ahsoka novel touched on. But now let's get into the trailer, which by the way, I don't know why they haven't just released it officially yet without the lower third, but whatever, it doesn't hide much. It begins with a quick recap of where we left Ahsoka as she leaves the Jedi and then rides her bike away. We can hear a new voice asking where she's from, and Ahsoka is vague about it, and the new voice is pretty judgmental of the Jedi Order. Instead of Nix, Ahsoka meets 2 twin sisters named Trace and Rafa, who will seemingly take his place. But the run-ins with the criminal underworld, specifically the Pike Syndicate, look like they're still happening, and they even unknowingly bump into Bo-Katan. This is all intercut with some shots of Mace Windu and Obi-Wan attacking Skako Minor, if I'm remembering the story real correctly, along with shots of the battle above Anaxes. Then they head off to literally worlds unknown. I have no clue where they go to, but wherever it is, they continue fighting the Pikes. This planet might be Kessel, it resembles what we saw in Solo, and if Ahsoka is taking on the Pikes, that would make perfect sense. Most of it is just very fast, exciting shots of fighting, but we also get at least a glimpse of the completed scene with Rex in the orange helmets. Anakin returns her lightsabers, and they're blue now, which is interesting. In the Ahsoka book, they were mentioned as still being green during the Siege of Mandalore, so I'm a little perplexed by this. But I assume Dave Filoni has a very good reason for making the change. Future prints of the book can always be updated. We get to see Bo-Katan, perhaps as she approaches Ahsoka for help with Maul on Mandalore, and then there's a shot of Admiral Trench, who just won't die. But yeah, he's back as a cyborg in the Bad Batch arc. The last sequence is awesome, with Ahsoka taking on a number of Mandalorians, taking them down non-lethally, and flying off on one's back. And then the final few shots have her facing off with Maul on Mandalore. I do wonder how they'll cover his escape from Palpatine, if they do at all, or if they'll just trust everyone to get the story from the Son of Dathomir comic. Either way, Dave described this as a big lightsaber fight in contrast to the one we saw between Maul and Obi-Wan in Star Wars Rebels. It's so big that Ray Park did the motion capture for it, which I absolutely love. And that's the end of the trailer. 12 more episodes, The Bad Batch, Ahsoka's Walkabout, and The Siege of Mandalore. They all look fantastic, and again, I'm thrilled I was wrong about my assumption that the Crystal Crisis arc would be included. I'd much rather see more of Ahsoka's story. Let me know what you thought of the trailer in the comments, and tell me which arc you're most excited for. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.